Later on the show, we'll take a look on how the general election will be fought and won in Kaduna, Imo, Delta, Edo, and FCT on the Pundit Corner. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Before the resumed airing of the suit between the government and the federal government over naira redesign policy at the Supreme Court, cash-strapped Nigerians look up to the apex court for a definitive judgment on ameliorating the suffering. But after hearing and consolidating of the suit against the federal government, the Supreme Court adjourned and fixed the judgment to the 3rd of March, but on validity of all naira notes as the legal tender stands. Julie, what is the meaning of this?
Well, the Supreme Court order, the Supreme Court gave an interim order, and because it's an interim order, it subsists until the case is dispensed with. It's not like the usual ex parte interlocutory orders that were
a lifespan.
Yes, you know, some 7 days, this and that. No, this one subsists until the case is dispensed with. The Supreme Court gave an order saying that it will air the matter and extended the validity of its order pending the hearing of the matter. But when they came in today, there were still some, what the Supreme Court had to do today was to consolidate the cases.
Yes.
And there was Abia State, one of the states that wished to join at such a late hour, you know. In the end, with the arguments back and forth from all the lawyers, including the River State, the lawyer representing River State, the court could not give a definitive decision today. It had no choice but to move, to adjourn till March the 3rd, when it will give its judgment. This is a very important matter that concerns the average Nigerian. So in this case, the Supreme Court has to come up with a definitive position that would then become the law. The Supreme Court needs to decide whether, in view of the prevailing sufferings that our people are going through, the Supreme Court has to decide whether to order the CBN, because what is at stake now is, okay, the law says that the CBN must give reasonable time. What is reasonable is what the Supreme Court will decide. How many months can be deemed reasonable? Their lawyers have argued that, look, they gave 3 months notice. That 3 months notice is enough in view of the evidence on ground, the people struggling at banks, women. I saw a picture of a woman even climbing a wall trying to get into a bank. And I believe that even they will look at how this thing is done in other climes. Is it, do they usually give very short notice, you know, for this sort of thing, given the fact that more than 400 local governments out of 774 we do not even have banks. So they are going to look at, because laws are not meant to terrorize the people. Laws are meant to make life meaningful to people and ensure that there is order in a country. So if there is a law that appears to inflict pain on our people, that is where we have the Supreme Court and we have the lawmaking body. The Supreme Court, as a court of policy, can make pronouncements, that are not necessarily already written in black and white in our laws. But the pronouncement of the Supreme Court becomes law. That is why it is called the court of policy. So in this case, this is a novel matter. Many people are anxious. Why don't they decide this today? But it's not. The law doesn't work like that. They've got to take their time, because there was a precedent who took a decision to vary the judgment of the Supreme Court by going ahead to give his own order at a time when the case was still pending. The case had not been decided, which angered some prominent lawyers in our country. That issue also has to be addressed. The lawyers for the governors have already filed contempt suit against Emefiele and the Attorney General. They don't have immunity, so the judges will decide whether they've done anything wrong. Their lawyers are argued that they are only obeying presidential order. So it is for the court. There are different issues that the court has to decide upon on this same matter. So I'm not surprised that they decided to give themselves more time to come to a resolution, which in the final analysis, hopefully will be acceptable to the contending parties and Nigerians as a whole.
Tikian, welcome. Now, given this time that the Supreme Court will use to, adjudicate on the matter and everything, somebody like me, when I got wind of, what transpired in the Supreme Court today, I was just like, look, things might have degenerated badly before the 3rd of March. As in, if we continue the way we are going now.
Yes, nice to be here. Ayo, in law, things don't just seem as everybody thinks it should be. First and foremost, as when you are reading law, there are basic things that you're taught. In the course, we are taught what is called civil and criminal procedures. And in civil and criminal procedures, the first thing, one of the most important aspects of the law that you learn is what is called jurisdiction. If a court doesn't have the jurisdiction on any matter, there's nothing you can do about it. Jurisdiction is very, very fundamental in every court. And that is why for every case, there are particular courts you can take it to. It's not every case you take to the magistrate court. It's not every case you take to the customary court. It's not every case you take to the high court. So that is how and we are also taught in law that in the course of proceedings, at any given point in time, where an objection on the jurisdiction of that court comes into play, every other thing will stop until that is determined. Even if just few hours or few days to giving a judgment on a case, the issue of jurisdiction will be decided. But most often than not, it is always good to raise that at the beginning of the case so that the court will determine whether it has the jurisdiction. So, what are the issues there? One, the fundamental issues being looked at: the power of the president. Two, the power of the central bank to issue currencies. Then also, when it was the case by the governors was taken to court, the AGF challenged the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to look at those cases, that case. Now, the Supreme Court has to determine, first and foremost, before doing any other thing, before even the consolidation and whether it has that jurisdiction. From what came out today, the Supreme Court has practically said that it has the jurisdiction to look at the matter. So that has been settled. Do you understand what I mean? So that has been settled. Some were saying that, you don't have the jurisdiction, you should be taken to the Federal High Court. There are Federal High Court, there are High Courts. The Federal High Court is different from a High Court. You have High Courts in Lagos are for the states. But there is a Federal High Court, which basically has to do with issues, has to do with government agencies. So now that the Supreme Court, to add what Jay was saying, Then there's consolidation of. Now, don't forget there were 3 states that initiated that case: Zamfara, Kogi, and which other state? Kaduna State. Now, in the course of that, it is just like, let me just give you a classical example. If Jide is owing me, of course she's not owing me. If Jide is owing me, and I'm about taking Jide to court, and you hear that Jide is owing me, I'm thinking, and Jide is owing you as Ayo. Instead of you taking Jide to court for owing you, you quickly come and say, okay, please join me in that case. Do you understand what I mean? So that is what the states have done. So all those cases have to be consolidated. All the states, I think as of the last time, I think it's about 12 now, or thereabout, they have finally said that they want to go. Abia State was the last today that was joined. Then there are another 2 states, Edo and Bayelsa, who are in support of what the federal government is doing. So that is the issue. There's, when I was a bit astonished, when some of our colleagues were publishing today that the judgment will be delivered today, it's not possible. There is no way a Supreme Court can give judgment like that. Now, the question was also raised on the issue of contempt, because that's also another very, very fundamental issue. Because once a directive has been given by a court, except another higher court vacates that, then you have no right but to obey, which is what some of the lawyers to the state we are raising today, especially I think that of Lagos State, the Attorney General of Lagos State was saying that before we proceed, my Lord, my Justice, yes, first and foremost, the AGF has not complied with the directive that was given by this court. And we want, in fact, we don't want him to be part, in fact, to come and appear in the Supreme Court. That is law. But the justices in their wisdom say, don't worry, don't worry. We will look at all these issues. So it's better for our people to be able to understand. So it's not just a question of... And you know why? You know why? Why? There are, in law, we are told there are sources of law. There are things that made up what is called law. There are the borrowed English law, that's customary, there are customs and the rest of them. There is what is called judicial precedents in law. What judicial precedent is that, the legislature make law. The judicial precedents are pronouncement, judgment by the court, which automatically, once it is made, it becomes law. Although it was not initiated from the legislature. Yeah. So once it becomes so, and for the Supreme Court to make a pronouncement, that is the judicial precedent, which means that anywhere. So if a similar case comes up, you don't even need to start quoting law. You only just say so. That is why the Supreme Court is always very, very careful in making some of this. So by next week, the issues will be resolved. But personally, I believe that politically, some people are happy. Some people are happy because why? Those that they concise issue, I think the basic element behind this is the presidential election. So if at the 25th of February, when we've had a presidential election, you'll be shocked that most of these things that they are raising by next week, they would have achieved their aim. So if it's just to checkmate certain individuals or certain things that they want to achieve by next week, all this, you'll be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if the AGF, even himself, will want to comply with some of the issues when they come on the bet. That is where we are today, and every Nigerian has to wait till the thought of our suffering continues.
Do you agree that it should necessarily mean that if the federal government has refused to adhere to the status quo as ordered by the Supreme Court, so the federal government cannot do the right thing between now and then?
No, the judgment is clear. The old naira notes remain legal tender.
But if the central bank is saying that banks don't transact with these old notes, people will...
whether they like it or not, there are still people who are using the old notes. There are still people who are transacting business with the old notes. They are confident that this matter will be resolved in their favor, that those old notes would then be used in the future. No one knows what the judgment of the Supreme Court will be, but I know that they always look at, it's not even everything that the Supreme Court decides based on the law. They also look at decisions that if they take will probably worsen security situation. So there are some judgments that they consider political exigencies and all that in taking. So in this case, our people are suffering. But the Supreme Court wants to take its time to look at all of these issues and come up with a definitive decision.
With the look of things, you're not in a hurry.
No, it's not everything that you can rush. You see, the thing is, it's just a matter of days. And for me, all this unnecessary head banging on the wall over this naira thing, those who will win the election will win the election. People had made up their minds a long time ago. You will see on election day, mark my words, on my honor, I'm saying it, that those who will win will win. There are people who have a rich deposit of goodwill. Whether you give them money or not, if they made up their minds to vote for you, they will vote for you. I lived in northern Nigeria, I was born there. It's not everything. Politics is not simply about money. Aminu Kano never had money. But one of the biggest crowds that you ever see in anybody's burial was the crowd that attended Aminu Kano's burial. He was such a popular man. Everyone knew that it was for the poor people. So it's not all about money. There are some people who are people Adewo than Ladoja. Ladoja won more local governments in Ibadan than the sitting governor. That's the former governor, was the one that died 2020.
Christopher Alao.
No, no Akala. 2020.
Is it governor? Governor.
Ajimobi. He was a sitting governor. Ladoja won more local governments in Ibadan than him. In fact, when I was analyzing and I said this is what will happen, Governor, again, what's his name? Ajimobi called me to say, how come you know what will happen in our place? That, look, I can't understand how you get to know these things. I predicted that, and that was a difference maker. So it's not everything, it's not, our politics is not, many things influence our politics. Ethnicity. Today's politics in Nigeria, there's a lot of ethnicity and religion. Before money, you see religion takes its place.
Yes.
Money is just bonus. People will discover that. Is it in the south, in the southeast today, all of what we've been talking about? Obi will win some states with about 95-96%. Is it that he's been sharing money? It's not all about money. And that's what we will see.
And if you go there to share money, it won't change anything.
It won't change anything. People gave money in an Anambra election. Those women took the money and showed. They still voted against them. So why are people putting so much accent on money as if without money we've never had politics in our country? If all of this is just, all the sufferings that Nigerians are going through is because they think, politicians, they are using money, they will be shocked. Give people, I know people now, even who have already packaged rice bags, 5 kg bags of rice. They had done that a long time ago. They are going to share to people. So it's not every time that you must give money.
Palliative.
Yes. I said rice. Rice. Now, apart from that, 6 yards of cotton. All this one that they call atampa in the north, Hollandis and other Ankara. You know the women in the north value it a lot. Some politicians had bought thousands and thousands of them that they will share. It's not money alone that influences elections in our country. People need to know that. My own concern, because I'm hearing people say, after the election, this money will be everywhere. That is assuming that the CBN has printed enough. If they've not printed enough, this election will go, this problem will still remain. Look at fuel scarcity. We've been battling it since October. So that is my own fear. That are we sure that after the election that this whole matter will go away? I'm really worried.
So at the end of the day, what impact? Because some people are even saying that, look, legitimately on election day, we need to spend money for our agents. On election day, we need to spend money to our ad hoc staff.
Now, we are talking the position of law. Let us get something clear. By the CBN Act of 2007, Section 19 of the CBN Act empowered the bank to issue and design currencies as approved by the president. Nobody is fighting or talking about the authority to what it's doing. That we must get clear. I've not seen, I don't think the governors are even talking about that. The problem we're having now is the implementation and the logistics. And that is where, in law, Jide talked a bit. What the governors are looking for and asking for is important to call in law public interest. It's not timing. It's the same public interest. When you talk of public interest, it encompasses so many things: the inconveniences, the timing, sufferings of Nigerians, and the rest of them. That is what. But whether that will not is what the Supreme Court will look to determine this case is yet to be seen. That is why
one of the lawyers has already brought that up.
So
that if a law, for example, inflicts pain on people, the court has an obligation to do something.
That is public interest.
One of the lawyers has already brought that up.
It is public interest because don't forget the justices are human beings like you.
Yes.
They have brothers, they have sisters.
Remember what Justice Okoro said last week. Justice Okoro said, please tell your people, tell your client. He was telling Kanu Agabi, he said, tell your client to make naira available. If they make this naira available, we don't need this court matter. Justice Okoro was saying that.
He said, even him today, he still said it. He said, they want to make a scapegoat of us. That is Justice Okoro. He was saying that whether they obey or not, we must go ahead with this case. So you can see
the judgment.
Okay, let's take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this breather.
My name is Kashim Sheikh. I'm an agricultural economist by training, a banker by profession, and now a public servant by calling. I was the governor of Borno State for 8 years. In the heat of the Boko Haram, we set up an agricultural transformation committee. We crisscrossed the world and invested in the whole agricultural value chain. Lagos is the smallest state in Nigeria in terms of landmass, 3,577 square kilometers. But the largest rice mill in Africa and the third largest in the world is located in Imo State in Lagos. That is the power of ideas. Bola Tinubu is an idea whose time has come. Let us vote for Bola Tinubu to be the president of Nigeria come 25th of February. God bless Nigeria.
When I was younger, I got asked a question by a friend. What is the ultimate dream in life?
Hello guys, did you know that of all the major candidates, Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope 2023 Action Plan contains the most detailed and innovative solutions on the best approach to building our national economy? Check out some of the ways in which Asiwaju plans to bring prosperity back to Nigeria. Focus on industry and manufacturing to build an economy that produces more of the items we need. Complete the Great Green Wall of the North to reduce forced economic migration, review the corporate tax system and deploy technology and effective policies to earn more revenues for the federal government, reform the civil service to fight corruption, reduce bureaucracy and increase the efficiency of government service delivery. Asiwaju had an impressive track record as a governor in Lagos. Under his administration, Lagos grew its revenue base from 600 million naira a month to 50 billion naira a month. Vote APC so that Asiwaju can do for Nigeria what he did for Lagos. Vote APC for a prosperous and economically stable Nigeria.
This message is powered by the APC PCC Youth Directorate.
My brother, my
Do you know that winning an election is not only about getting the majority vote? For that your candidate to be declared winner of the election, he or she must secure 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all states plus the FCT to be president, and 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all local governments of a state to be governor. This is constitutional, and every presidential candidate has had to pass this threshold. Even governors have had to make this mark to get elected in their states. We live in one country with different languages, religions, and ethnic groups. This is why it is not enough to have only northern votes, or southern votes, or eastern votes, or western votes. The only way to get elected as president or governor is by gaining enough support across the country and states. Let us make sure that we know now so that we don't cause an issue tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO.
Hello, Nigerians. I'm the APC vice presidential candidate. According to Korn Ferry, a global consulting firm, by 2030, there will be a global talent deficit of 85 million. Because of our useful population, our geographic location, and our proficiency in English, Nigeria stands a unique chance of becoming the global talent factory. The building behind us is the Secretariat for the Implementation of the Startup Act. It's the Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center. Of the 7 unicorns in Africa, 5 are in Nigeria, all in Lagos. It wasn't a coincidence, neither was it an accident. It wasn't magic. It is called leadership. It is the Tinubu effect. Vote wisely, vote Bola Tinubu for the president of Nigeria. God bless us all.
Welcome back. 2 days, 14 hours, 28 to the 2023 presidential election, and I still have Chris Kendewandu and the Maestro Babajide Kolade Otitoju in the studio. Thank you, gentlemen, for staying with us. Again, ultimately, we have to wait till the Supreme Court, adjudicate on this. And looking at what is happening practically in town, our people are going through a lot. Would this will have a kind of impact on the election?
Well, to our people, they've suffered enough, and they've suffered so far for weeks. I don't think another 1 week will kill us. Yes, it's a fact. Another 1 week won't kill us. And so we are going to wait for the Supreme Court because it is going to be fundamental. I said earlier on about whatever the Supreme Court comes out is going to help our law a great deal. Yeah. Especially on the issue of currency, printing, timelines, and the rest of them.
Powers of the CBN.
The powers of CBN and that act. That act has not been put to test. And I think this is what is going to. But don't forget that we have almost similar problem when President Goodluck Jonathan was about sacking former CBN governor. Most people have forgotten the Emir. Sanusi. Yes. And that issue was tested to a large extent. So, but whether it's going to have an impact...
That it could only be suspended by NFI.
That is all. So, whether it's going to have an impact on the election, I doubt it. People will troop out to vote. People have made up their mind to vote.
Yes, you will see a crowd, you will be shocked.
Let me also tell you this. The why it is much easier is because it is not like people are going to enter buses, enter Okada.
Yes, you vote in your area now.
No. It's within your area. Just come out of your house, walk about...
most of the time in front of your house.
In front of your house, you vote and you go.
In fact, they even created more polling units, which will help.
So that in itself is going to, whether it's going to have an impact, that is not an issue. The fact is that I'm appealing to Nigerians to come out on the 25th and March 11 to come and exercise their vote. And I'm sure that the final question I want to, each of us ask there, is if the Supreme Court now give a verdict that goes against what the president is doing, what will the president do? What will happen to the president? I don't know if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I guess.
Because I'll give instances where the Supreme Court has given certain judgments which the president refused to obey. And based on his immunity, it's true that, yes, he is immune to anything, so nothing can happen to him. what will happen? That is the fundamental we want to know. If after the Supreme Court judgment, it goes against the president, and the president so he is not going to obey, what will happen?
Some people will say heaven will not fall, but is this good for our democracy?
No, I don't think that the president, when the Supreme Court gives his final verdict, I don't think the president will go against it, because it will be irresponsible to do that. And I don't think President Buhari will do that, because history will judge him harshly. I know there are people out there who are rooting for him, emergency Buharists and all that, who want him to fall. The president has to put on his thinking cap. As I've given an example, you know how many cases Obasanjo lost at the Supreme Court? Back-to-back cases. The heavens didn't fall. He obeyed those judgments. And I've said this repeatedly, that even during the military era, there were judgments that went against the military. And they had to abide. They had to abide. Even as to sue the military and won, they had to abide. So a president can say that, oh, Supreme Court will not obey, because that will go against Section 187, subsection 1 of the Constitution, which is an impeachable offense. If you disobey the Supreme Court, there are implications for that. So I don't think the president will heat up the polity by refusing to obey the Supreme Court. The order is clear that the federal government is agents, and the agent of the federal government is the CBN governor. So the CBN governor himself is playing with fire. If he chooses not to obey the Supreme Court, we are not going to be happy to see the highest court in our land diminished and disgraced. It will not happen.
All right. Now to our segment, Pundit's Corner, where we dissect how the 20... Welcome back. Now on our Pundit's Corner, we are beaming our searchlight on Kaduna State in the northwest, Imo State in the southeast, and Delta in the south, and FCT in Abuja. Jide, let's start from Kaduna State. The dynamics there.
There are so many things that make Kaduna special. When I was preparing for this, I saw clearly that election will be quite different from some elections that we have seen. Kaduna has 3 zones: Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3. Zone 1 is what we call the Zaria zone, made up of communities like Zaria, Makarfi, Ikara, Soba, and Saminaka. These are areas where the APC is very strong, very strong. Then we have Zone 2, Kaduna South, made up of Kaduna North, Chikun, Igabi, Giwa, Briningwari, that is the Kaduna Central Senatorial Zone. Again, this is another where the APC is very strong. We have Zone 3, Kachia, Jema, Zongo Kataf, Kaura, Kajuru, and several others. Here, we are going to see APC do well in 2 local governments in that Zone 3. That is Kachia and Jama local government. Jama local government was the local government of the former secretary to the government of the Federation during Babangida's time. We call him Aliu Jama, The race will be determined by a lot of factors: religion, ethnicity. We can't deceive ourselves. These are big factors that will influence the election. There are 23 local governments in Kaduna State, and there are 23 House of Assembly seats. APC will win no less than 15 out of the 23 seats over there. And then we project that in Zaria is the community with the highest votes. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will do very well in Zaria because of certain reasons. He's been going to Zaria for more than 30 years. Seriki Tafida, former envoy to the UK.
Dalhatu.
Yes.
Tafida.
He was private physician to Shehu Shagari. He's an old man now, but he's Asiwaju's friend. He's been going to Zaria to see him for years. For this reason, a good number of people in Zaria already see Tinubu as one of their own. And there's also an old commissioner in Kaduna State, Umar Dambo, who is also very close to the Jagaban. And of course, Senator Abu Ibrahim. Senator Abu Ibrahim used to bring Tinubu to Kaduna State. So many people do not know that Tinubu had actually been making inroads into Kaduna for quite some time. It's not something that started today. And when elections come, that is when you see the value of friendship. For people who had been together for years, election time is usually payback time. So Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu looks very good to win the presidential election in Kaduna. APC will win, as I've said before, at least 15 out of the 23 House of Assembly seats. APC will win 2 out of the Senate seats because they always lose the
South.
Yes, that's zone 3. And then the governorship election with the incumbency factor and all that, I expect Senator Ubasani. Ubasani is a grassroots politician. He's been around for some time, you know, even long before he joined the administration of Nasiru El-Rufai as advisor. So Kaduna is looking very good for the APC, and we just need to wait to see what happens in the final.
Another battleground will be Imo State. Because Imo State, you have a sitting governor that is from the APC. But a lot of people will say that state is originally, you know, a PDP state. And a lot of people want to see, with the popularity of the Labour Party, it's a lot of influence will be playing out here.
Yeah, looking at Imo, there are 27 House of Assembly seats. For now, it's difficult to say this is the way the House of Assembly election will go. Well, I know the governor is doing his best to ensure that he controls the House, or his party controls the House.
To favor him ahead of the governorship election.
It's tough. It's tough.
Very tough.
Most of the contests in Imo will be very tough. House of Reps, even the Senate. In Senate, in Imo West, for example, we have Izu Naso of the APC, Sita Izu Naso, and Charles Ahize of Labour Party. Jones Onyewere of PDP was disqualified, so the PDP for now is out of the race for Imo West. This is the governor's home senatorial zone. So you know that is going to throw everything at the race. And of course, with the OB factor and all that, APC has a slight edge here, given the pedigree of Izu Naso and then the support of the governor for the candidate of his own senatorial zone. So APC has a slight edge there. People, even his chief of staff from that area. Owerri zone, the senatorial zone, Owerri zone, we have Alex Mbata, you know, a philanthropist representing the APC. You have Uche Onyegocha,
Honorable.
Yes, for the PDP, and you have Senator Onyewuchi of Labour. You know, who is the flag, is the incumbent, is the incumbent senator from that zone. Onyewuchi is a grassroots man. He once won election on the, to the House of Reps on the platform of ABGA, even when ABGA was not the ruling party. So that's not the sort of person that you can underrate. It was SSG under Hedua. He has a slight edge here. Then Okigwe zone, PDP has an edge in Okigwe zone. So in the presidential election, of course, we expect Peter Obi to win, but the governor is doing very well to ensure that the candidate of his party,
125%.
yes, is struggling, but Peter Obi is the man to beat.
In that Imo State.
Yes.
All right, we'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk about the Southeast Delta, Edo, in the South and FCT.
Nigerians, my name is Kashim Shetima. I'm the APC vice presidential candidate. Here we have 1,776 orphans, vulnerable orphan girls from Northern Borno, all of them victims of Boko Haram, or housed and educated, getting the best that the nation has on offer. Look at this edifice. It's about one of the best schools in the nation. And this has been the length and breadth of Borno, and further sustained by Governor Babagana Umara Sulu. What I came to office, we promise you such edifices will be replicated across the length and breadth of this nation. Vote wisely, vote Bola Tinubu for the presidency of Nigeria come February 25th.
So in line with the principle of the present administration in the fight against corruption, we have achieved the following successes under the asset recovery and management effort of the administration. In 2017, we have succeeded in recovering $322 million from Switzerland, which was indeed recovered and repatriated asset. What was that fund recovered in 2017 used for? As at the time we came in place as a government, poverty was visible everywhere. So the $322 million that was recovered there was deployed in the social investment program of the federal government.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Nigeria needs focused leadership to take decisive action to end insecurity, reposition our economy for businesses to thrive, and restore total peace in the land. Tinubu is the right man for the job. Through innovation and technology, he will reposition Nigeria for businesses to thrive. Nigeria will export more and import less. Tinubu will reposition the agricultural sector for food security and improve farmers' welfare. Electricity will be reformed for a brighter Nigeria. Health, education, and housing will be more accessible and affordable. Nigeria will be transformed into an entertainment powerhouse, a home of sporting achievement, and a renowned tourist destination. Tinubu's government will build a Nigeria where we prosper together. He has done it before, and he will do it again for Nigeria.
For renewed hope 2023, vote Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Senator Kashim Shetima as President and Vice President of Nigeria. Vote APC.
Hello guys, have you checked out the Renewed Hope 2023 action plan to see what Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has for Nigeria's digital economy? When elected, the Jagaban administration will implement innovative policies to support local funding opportunities and access to capital for startups. It will support development of the private sector in e-commerce, tech manufacturing, and ICT-enabled outsourcing. It will implement government digital services to improve government efficiency and create new jobs. It will encourage further use of blockchain technology in finance and banking. The Jagaban administration will achieve delivery of 90% broadband services by 2025. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu's administration in Lagos was the first to make use of the Oracle system to weed out ghost workers and support the establishment of an efficient civil service. Asiwaju will keep Nigeria at the cutting edge of the digital revolution. Vote APC to build the Nigeria of tomorrow today. This message is powered by the APC PCC Youth Directorate. Hello guys, have you checked out the Renewed Hope 2023 Action Plan by Bola Tinubu on his ideas about youth empowerment and entrepreneurship? Check this out. The Tinubu administration will inaugurate a Youth Advisory Council to the newly developed Employment Action Plan. It will reserve at least 3 cabinet positions for persons under the age of 40 and 6 more positions for members under the age of 50. It will reform the NYC program to bring it into the modern world and make it a platform from which young graduates can spring into their chosen careers. It will establish a presidential fellowship scheme to give talented and determined young Nigerians new opportunities to experience and participate in governance and politics. The Tinubu administration's youth development program in Lagos led to the annual one-day governor through the annual spelling bee for secondary school students. Vote APC for the future of Nigeria. This message is powered by the APC PCC Youth.
Welcome back. So, Delta State.
In Delta State, the APC candidate, Ovie Magege, has been working hard in
Deputy Senate President,
in the Delta Central, especially Ugeli North, Ethiopia East, is struggling to gain some ground in Okwe, in the Sapele area. But the problem for him is that the candidate of the PDP also comes from the same area. They are both Urobos. And then the deputy governorship candidates also come from the same zone. So it's a tough battle. I project that the PDP will win Delta, but the opposition will do much better than it has done since 1999 because Omoagege has really worked very hard, and this will also help the candidate of his party to get to the threshold of 25%, and they will probably even surpass it. The Labour Party candidate is doing well, but the PDP, in my view, will take the state.
That's governorship.
Both the governorship and in the presidential election. Although the margin will be narrow. The margin will be narrow because all of those candidates will do well in this election because they work very hard.
Okoa is from Delta.
Yes, they work very hard. And Delta has 28 House of Assembly seats. Of course, APC should be able to take a substantial portion there, like previous elections. Of course, Ogboru is contesting on the platform of ABGA. But you know that it's not the same Ogboru that we used to know, but he's still going to take some votes from both the APC and the PDP. But I project that PDP will take that area. Coming to Abuja, Abuja usually votes against the ruling party. You've seen that happen so many times.
Even they will lose the villa.
The urban centers will be dominated, council areas like Gwagwalada, the rest of them. Of course, APC will do well in that place. So, in my view, it is a contest, a big contest between Labour and the PDP in Abuja. Either of those parties can win Abuja narrowly. So that's
Labour and the PDP.
Yes, this is what I see. It's the 3 parties will do well, but the Labour and PDP.
APC is not at play here.
No, they will do very well too. I'm saying that.
But to win.
Contest, yes, I'm talking about who will win. Because from those rural areas, I said earlier, APC will do well. But we know that the urban centers have so much population. There are areas that the PDP had always controlled over the years. But with the incursion of Labour, a lot of those votes, rather than go to PDP, will go to Peter Obi this time. So, which gives me reason to think that Peter Obi will spring surprises in Abuja this time around. It could also help the APC to probably come second. You know, because if it takes a lot of the votes that should go to PDP, that is damaging to the PDP.
Consequences on
yes, it will have serious consequences on the PDP. So Abuja, I think the Labour Party will do very well. I can't say that Labour will win, but it can win. It can win.
All right, that wraps it up for Kaduna, Imo, Delta, and FCT. That's Federal Capital Territory. We'll continue on the Pundits Corner tomorrow. And that's our take today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 and join us this Sunday between 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubako. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
In another decade or less, the youthful population of our country will become one of our greatest resources beyond oil. And here is why. With the bulging population climbing steadily to 90 million, Nigerian youth now constitute the most energetic, viable, resourceful, but untapped resource, not just in Nigeria, but across the globe. Our youth are pace setters in various spheres of human endeavor. They are the cutting edge of technology, dominating creative arts and entertainment, telemedicine, architecture, artificial intelligence, e-commerce and digital marketing, and the list goes on. In sports, Nigeria just produced its first world record holder in athletics, Tobi Amusan. In mathematics, Nigeria's youngster, Faith Odunsi, age 15, was crowned world's best mathematics student. Our Thames just grabbed a Grammy, joining the tribe of the world's best artists. Osimhen is scoring goals like the legendary Pelé. There are many others, but time will not permit. This, indeed, is the century of the youth. It is indeed the time to invest in the youth. Invest in their ideas, their skills, enterprises, and of course in their education. Time to turn them into wealth creators and employers of labor. Time to bring them on board through political inclusiveness. As the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, I know that no investment in our youth can ever be a waste. Indeed, any country or leader that fails to invest in the development of our youth imperils the growth and development of its people, and of course the future of the youth. On an incremental basis in the past 8 years, Nigeria has invested in our youth through a bouquet of programs and initiatives. Our youth need more of such investment and political engagements. The 2023 elections are here. The INEC voter registration data shows about 41% of registered voters are the young people. A remarkable development, no doubt. A golden opportunity for the youth to determine who gets to lead them. One man stands tall amongst all those that desire our vote to be president. Immersed in the many challenges and struggles faced by the ordinary youth, forged in the crucible of democratic struggle, and curated as a committed progressive, one man stands tall above the rest, a cut above the pack. Only one with a scorecard that reveals its investment and commitment to reveals a consistent talent hunter and team builder, one that has turned followers and disciples into leaders, one that has an eye for scouting for youthful talents. He has a heart that connects with your aspirations and harbors the fierce urgency that fires the bellies of our youth. I urge the youth of this country to cast their vote for that man, that leader, that candidate who holds the key to their emancipation, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. There is only one choice in this election. There's only one option in this election. There's only one candidate in this election, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The moment, indeed, has found its man. Let's keep a date with history on February 25th. I am Sunday Dari, Minister of...
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty, erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
It's decision week in Nigeria, exactly 2 days to the presidential and National Assembly elections. And Nigerians are counting down as they prepare to vote. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Abosedi Adeniran. Old naira notes remain legal tender. That's coming from the Supreme Court as the court adjourns to the 3rd of March for judgment. The Apex Court earlier consolidated the suits instituted by more than 12 state governments. In identifying and adopting their processes, counsel to Kogi and Kaduna states prayed the court to grant the reliefs in their application, while urging the court to set aside the preliminary objection of the defendants because they are in contempt of court. The Attorney General, in his preliminary objection and counter affidavit, noted that if the Supreme Court holds that all reliefs are embedded in Section 20 of the CBN Act, then the Apex Court has no jurisdiction to entertain the suit, as the action cannot commence with an originating summons. The plaintiffs did not bring the CBN governor to court as a respondent after referring to him 32 times in their originating summons.
The President has the power, further to Section 23, to direct the CBN government. But the time frame given for this policy to be implemented and the terms are very short, and it's not convenient for the plaintiffs and indeed Nigerians to conform. That's why you have seen a lot of chaos everywhere. The President has powers, but that power must be exercised judicially and judiciously.
Trying to salvage a difficult situation. That's where we are. The Supreme Court is trying to do that. The President is trying to do that. It's one nation, one people. We are looking for solutions. Please, those who have this naira in their hands should submit them to the CBN or any banks designated for that purpose. Nobody will lose his money if you try to comply.
Well, Nigerians are on the receiving end of the scarcity as long queues persist at banks despite the recirculation of old 200 naira notes. Now, moving away from there. Surprising, you may call it, but it is true, as thousands of voter cards have been found, dumped inside bush in Anambra State and picked up by some Nigerians. It was gathered that the PVCs were mainly meant for Nnewi North. Our Anambra State correspondent Bamidele Ajayi now joins me on the program for more on this. Bamidele, what have you gathered as the effort in place to get the truth out of this matter?
It is a development that got many, wondering what would have left there. Owing to the fact that as of 7th December 2022, Anambra has 100 number of PVC to be found in the forest as, submitted by the two hunters that found it. Also, I spoke with the MD of Authority itself, where the PVC to. Says there were tonnage on single numbers of PVCs collected in that forest. And those hunters said they were on their way to the forest when they saw it. They have to now bring it out to Authority, which is the closest radio house that in itself, one would be up when you have to do the election. And also that Anambra is having 152,276 unpicked PVC as of 7th December 2022. So no one has answers today. We also spoke with the PPRO that is saying that so that no one has ever approached the command with respect to this, that there is no formal written that first things were found, but that the Commissioner of Police, XXX, has ordered them to investigate with the promise that if anyone found wanting, that the person will be prosecuted.
Well, Bamidele, as it stands, are there plans to actually figure out the owners of those PVCs and perhaps hand the PVCs over to them before election days?
The MD authorities that chartered authorities told us that this morning when they got to the office, they were now informed to take the PVC to the Igwe Umodin. They're taking the keys to the Igwe Palace, where they are now asking people in that community to come and pick up that things. Now we have 4 clans. We have the Solo, the Uruagu, the Umodin, that Nnewi. But they said names on those PVCs definitely belong to people in Umodin. That's why they see the PVCs through the palace of the Igwe. That people, what they now do is to go there, identify if you are the owner of the PVC, according to them that they're going to do the job. Now, the PVC is in the custody of the Obi of Umodin.
But so far, Bamidele, what has been the reaction of the people of Nnewi North to this discovery, and how eager are they to approach the palace of the Obi to pick up, to search and confirm and then pick up their PVCs?
Like I said earlier, the incident got many people, got turned back and they said, they never said, because a particular lady we spoke with said, she spent days trying to get at that we now said they now found some PVC. So they were like, they're not able to know what really happened. The question now was that, how did the PVC get to the forest? Then who will ask? Because how would a PVC disappear from an island facility? So these are the questions that, they're begging for answers. But police command promised to investigate the matter. But also frustrating enough, we tried to reach the secretary to the PRO, INEC. I sent text to him, he didn't reply. I also called him several. So just for us to know the authority position of, if they have the information of the disappearance of PVC, was not able to give us anything. But now, people are now asking, how would a PVC disappear from INEC office and be found in Akamele forest, close to Ojobu? That's the question people are just,
see this mystery properly unraveled. Thanks, Bamidele Ajayi, for talking to us on the program. Now, let's return to our earlier report about the scarcity of naira notes and the fact that Nigerians are actually on the receiving end of the naira scarcity despite the recirculation of old 200 naira notes. Our correspondent Celestina Area joins me now on the program. Celestina, bring us up to speed on what transpired at the court earlier today.
Okay, about today, it was a long day at the Supreme Court. The court adjourned after hearing all the processes and parties were adopted processes after identifying the various processes. Adjourned to March 3rd for judgment. On that day, the issue of naira redesign, be it the limit of withdrawal by 20,000 naira or the use of the old naira notes and the availability of the new naira notes will all be addressed. But 10 states governments made the application, they adopted same, wherein they asked those by the president on the 15th of February, where he said that only the 200 naira old notes should be brought back into circulation until April, and the 1,000 naira notes and the 500 naira old notes cease to be legal tender. Because the Supreme Court order as at February 8th was the fact that the old naira notes are still legal tender. So it was against the order given by the Supreme, the President directive was against the order by the Supreme Court. And that was one of the points raised by the Attorney General of Lagos State, where he said that the AGF should not be given an audience, should not be granted an audience by the Supreme Court because they are in contempt of court. And also the Kano State's Attorney General made it known to the court that the monetary policy, the decision by the President was against Section 147 and 148 of the Constitution, advised by the CBN governor, which the finance minister is not even aware of the cash redesign policy because she stated that she was not even brought to notice during the cash redesign policy.